What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be going over my most played games as a child. This is going to be part one, and we're going to have two parts to this because there were so many games that I played when I was younger. Not so many games, but there was a select few games that I played, and today we're going to go over 5 or 6 of those, and then in part two we're going to go over 5 of them. So sit back, relax, we're going to have some gameplay, and we're going to have some fun. Number 1. We're going to kick this off with Super Mario World. It was released November 21st, 1990, and it was actually packaged with the Super Nintendo. You play as Mario, but if you play 2 players, the second player gets to play as Luigi. Basically, it's the same model, only they changed the color of the clothing. This is actually one of the first games that was that actually featured Yoshi as a playable character. So basically, you hit the block, he comes out in an egg, and when he hatches, you could jump on top of him and ride him. There are some enemies in the game that require Yoshi to beat, but I mean, you can just jump over them if you don't have Yoshi, but he could actually eat them and nothing else can really defeat them. And then you can eat apples. If you eat enough apples, he'll give you a mushroom or an extra life. And then if you're actually riding Yoshi and you come across a block that gives another Yoshi, when you hit that block, it'll give you an extra life. There are 72 main levels of this game and 24 secret levels, which will lead you right into the Rainbow Road, and then something extra after that, which I'm not going to ruin. There are 96 total levels in the game, and I've logged so many hours on this game. When I was younger, I couldn't beat it by myself. My dad did help me. I believe we did beat it, but I don't think we finished all 96 levels. So I actually picked this up for my collection as I got older, and I was able to go through and beat every single level. It gets extremely hard. There are some, I mean, all the levels are fun, but some of the levels are extremely hard, and admittedly I did have to use Google for some of the secret areas that you had to reach to actually beat the entire game. Amazing game. They made it for the Super Nintendo. If you like this kind of game, you know, platforming games, and you have the Super Nintendo, definitely check it out. You can also check it out on the Super Nintendo Classic, which on there you can actually use save states and stuff, so it makes it a little bit easier. Number 2. Second up is Killer Instinct. The release date was October 28th, 1994. It was the only Super Nintendo game to get a black case, which is probably why I was so drawn to it when I first saw it in the wild. And then it's actually a 1v1 fighter game. It's definitely a different take on Mortal Kombat. It's a very, very hard game, and it's a progression style game. So if you go through and try to play through the tournament, you're gonna choose your character, and then they're gonna give you all the list of characters that are in the game, and they're gonna put them in order, and you'll kind of work your way up the list. When I was younger, I did not do too well with this game. I can remember playing it for hours and not getting off. I think the farthest I've gotten maybe was 5 or 6 characters in while fighting through the tournament. Definitely a hard game. A lot of fun though. A lot of like weird graphics and stuff like that, and just a blast to play. As I said, it is a 2-player game as well, so you can verse your friends as well, which was a lot of fun. I actually have this game in my collection now, and I have still not beaten it. I have tried and tried and tried, and it's just an extremely difficult game. But if you're looking for a fun 1v1 fighter that is relatively cheap, actually, I would definitely go with this for the Super Nintendo. Number 3. Next up is Pokemon Gold. The release date was November 21st, 1999. It was released for the Game Boy, and it was released alongside Pokemon Silver. The featured Pokemon on the game is actually Ho-Oh, which is actually one of my favorite legendary Pokemon. It contains Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon. I never actually got the chance when I was younger to collect all the Pokemon. I do one of my last memories of the game is beating the Elite Four, feeling overjoyed, leaving the area where you beat them or where you go up against them, and a wild Entei showing up. I ended up using all of my Pokeballs, all my Ultra Balls, every ball that I had. I even had one of the special balls that you get made earlier in the game, and nothing worked. And then I almost had it dead, and it ran away. It fled. And that was one of the last memories I have of playing the game when I was younger. I did pick up the game for my current collection, and I am currently playing through it now. I'm going to try to collect every single Pokemon in the game, get it 100% completed, and then kind of keep it in a little safe or a little case up on the wall. Definitely a fun game. One of the games that I gravitated towards as far as Pokemon goes when I was younger. I was really big into all the Pokemon games and collecting Pokemon cards, Pokemon figures, everything. And Pokemon Gold was just one of those games that really did it for me. I did play like Red, Yellow, all the previous games, and Pokemon Gold was just there. It had the color. You had your Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon. It was just an absolute blast, and one of my favorite Pokemon games ever created. Number 4. Need for Speed Underground 2. Release date was November 9th, 2004. It was hard to choose between all the racing games that I played as a kid because the racing game genre was just one of my favorites. There weren't too many that I played, but the ones that I did play, I definitely overplayed. I did want to mention a few that didn't make the list, those being Need for Speed Underground, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Mario Kart 64, of course, and actually a motorcycle racing game that I played on the computer a long time ago, but I just can't remember the name now. Need for Speed Underground 2 just made the list because I played it the most. I can remember sitting up for hours customizing my car, driving around aimlessly, not even doing much of anything, just driving around and racing. It was so much fun. This game is definitely one of the nicest games I've played for the Need for Speed line, and probably one of my favorites to this day. Definitely the highlights of the game would definitely go to the customization of your cars. I can remember just sitting there for hours customizing so many different cars. You had an open track pattern where it was just all wide open and more of like a free street racing kind of deal, and it just made it so much more fun. This game was one that took up hours and hours of my life, and racing my friends or my cousin, and just having a blast. So Need for Speed Underground 2, definitely one of my most played as a kid. I played it for the PS2, and if you have a PlayStation 2 and you're into racing games, this is definitely one of the games that you should have in your collection. Number 5. Alright, so now we're looking at Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. It was released October 23rd, 2002, and this game, I just had a blast with this game. It was released for the PlayStation 2, and I guess I just gravitated towards it so much because, I mean, you could create your own character, you could use the characters that were in the game. The gameplay was just super responsive, super fun. It was just a blast to play. Now, I don't think I ever beat it when I was younger, but this is another game that I added to my collection as I got older, and I am still working on completely beating every single level. Some of the challenges are a little difficult, but all around the gameplay is just absolutely fantastic. You basically have different areas that you can unlock. You start at the first area, obviously, and then you play through that. As you beat some of the challenges that the people standing around the different skate parks that you're at, or the different areas that you're at, as you finish those challenges, it'll give you, points and stars and everything, and then as you finish enough challenges, you'll unlock more areas, so you can kind of move on to the next area or stay there and complete all the challenges. So some of the challenges in the area are definitely difficult for sure. If you decide to move on to a new area before finishing all the tasks or the challenges, you can go back to those areas and finish out the challenges. So it was one of those games where, you know, I'd work on the challenges for a little bit and then I would just go free skate, and that was just a lot of fun. I can remember plenty of days where I was just sitting there playing and just kind of skating around, not doing really much of anything, and just fall asleep while you're skating. It was just one of those games where you could just kind of block the world out and sit there and play. And as I said, this is for the PlayStation 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. Definitely one of the best Tony Hawk Pro Skaters that I've ever played. Alright, so as an honorable mention, I wanted to kind of go over the first game that I ever played my entire life, and that would be Duck Hunt. It was such an awesome game, and I can remember so many great memories of playing it with my cousin and my dad. Just, you know, shooting the screen. So I actually went out and bought that for my collection as well. Another very, very cheap game that you can get for the Nintendo Entertainment Center. And you just go out, you can get the guns actually from third-party companies now. It's really, really cool. So definitely a fun game. Something that you can't play on normal screens though. You have to play it on one of the box screens. Definitely maybe a downfall for the game, but still an awesome and fun game to play. As I said at the beginning of this video, this is part 1, so we will be coming out with part 2 very shortly. Also, we're going to be going over all of our favorite wrestling games from when I was a kid. I purposely left them off these lists because there were just so many that I used to play. So we're definitely going to do a top 10 or maybe a top 5 wrestling games that I played as a kid as well in the future. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys for all the support. You guys are absolutely amazing, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.